Hi, welcome to 15 to Freedom. So, what do three former teachers, a lawyer, a ministry wife, someone who worked in the gas and oil industry, and a counselor have in common? We have all found freedom. And we found freedom through the same life changing supplements and life changing opportunity called Plexus. So, what exactly is Plexus? Plexus is an all natural, plant based health and wellness company with products that get to the root of overall health and happiness. They work to balance hormones, blood sugar, gut health, reduce inflammations, and craving. Gut health is really at the core of so much. Over 80% of our immune system's health is in our gut, and over 90% of our mood boosting hormones are in our gut. So, truly, these stories of freedom that you hear tonight, I hope that you'll ask yourself, what if that could be me? And what if this could change everything? So, my name is Brooke McElrath, and my story of freedom, it might sound cheesy, but it truly is. The day that I said yes to Plexus was the day that I said yes to freedom. I was a very happy kindergarten teacher, but a very sick kindergarten teacher. I was getting sick all of the time. I was sick with some kind of something. I got strep throat and bronchitis almost 3 times every single year. I was getting daily headaches, daily fevers. I had pain so bad in one of my shoulders that I couldn't even lift my arm and basically had to live with an ice pack on my shoulder and cry myself to sleep most nights. My emotions were a roller coaster full of stress and anxiety, and I was gaining weight no matter what I tried. In fact, doctors pretty much told me that that was just going to be something that I had to get used to. But I'm so glad that that did not have to stay my reality because I said yes to Plexus. Since then, 3 years ago, I have not gotten strep throat or bronchitis even once. And I will never forget the small steps of freedom that I had along the way. A couple days in, when I had enough energy to skip a nap, a couple weeks in, when I realized I didn't have a headache for the first time in as long as I could remember, or a couple months in, when I woke up and looked over and my husband had tears in his eyes because for the first time that he could remember, I wasn't moaning and crying my way through the night, but had slept through the night. So since then, I started telling everybody that I could think of about this life-changing opportunity. My husband's cholesterol has balanced out. His heart arrhythmia is better. It's helped my mom with kidney stones. My father-in-law has been able to come off of his diabetes medicine, and I've been able to come home from the classroom, start a ministry with my husband, and build our first home. So I am so thankful for my story of freedom, but it is just one of thousands. So let me introduce you next to my friend Julia.
Hi, I'm Julia Carty, and I live here in Mobile, Alabama. And my Plexus story started about 4 years ago while we were living in Dallas, Texas. Uh, I went to Sunday school one day and I met a good friend, Andrea Mitchell. And soon after meeting her, she started posting about Plexus. Now, at that time, I had never heard the word Plexus, but I knew I wanted nothing to do with it. My husband had been in the ministry for about 9 years, and we had just made a pact early in marriage that we were never going to sell anything. We really didn't understand how ministry and selling something could go hand in hand. So when she started posting about it, I actually got very annoyed. And I actually decided I'm going to unfollow anyone that is selling something. So before I knew it, about every woman in the DFW area that I knew was selling Plexus. And I just kept clicking that unfollow button so I wouldn't see it in my news feed. Now, a bunch of us always went to lunch together on Tuesdays. And again, they all seemed to jump on the Plexus train. And I told them, I said, you know what, if you mention Plexus to me one more time, I'm not coming to lunch with you. So I was very against it. My sweet friend, she saw two of my youngest children had severe skin issues, and she gave me a bottle of the ProBio 5 and the body cream. And just like many people, I used it a couple of times, and I was like, it doesn't work. And so I put it back. I just put it on a shelf and never really thought anything of it. Well, then several months passed, and actually my husband lost his job. And as you can imagine, I was a stay-at-home mom. I had 4 little kids. I think the oldest was 6 at the time. And I was passionate about being a stay-at-home mom. And we were already struggling to make ends meet. So I did not know what we were going to do financially. And I went to lunch like I did every Tuesday with my Bible study group. And I asked Andrea, I said, how much money are you making with this Plexus stuff? And she told me, and I about fell off my chair. I couldn't believe it. And I thought, okay, so I ran home and I actually started giving my family the products. They were kind of my guinea pigs. And guess what? they actually did what they told me they were going to do. Their skin started clearing up. So my husband had accepted a sales job here in Mobile. And so I called him up and I said, you know what, if these products work and our friends are making real money, why don't we just give this a try? So he very reluctantly said, okay, Julia, you can try it. So 2 weeks before the entire family moved to Mobile, I jumped into the Plexus business. I really was just hoping, my goal was to make $1,000 a month so I didn't have to go back to the classroom to teach. And I will never forget my first paycheck. We moved to Mobile with $36 in our checking account to our name, not a penny more. He was in a sales job, so it was commission-based, and I thought, you know, I've got to make enough money to cover at least our first month product so we can continue on these products so I could at least try to sell them. And when I opened up that paycheck in the grocery store parking lot, I looked down, and to the penny, it was not just enough to cover our first month product, but it was enough money to cover our first month rent here in Mobile. And it was right then and there that I realized that this truly was going to be the opportunity that was going to change our entire life, our entire family's future. And that's exactly what it's done these past 4 years. About 9 months later, my husband was able to quit his job that he hated in sales. He's been a stay-at-home dad since. He has not had a migraine since starting Plexus. I reached the top of the company, and just the financial freedom, we're completely debt-free. We are actually waiting for a phone call from a birth mother that we're adopting our 5th child, that we were able to go through the adoption process without raising 1 cent. Plexus has completely given us financial freedom, but on top of that financial freedom, it's the time freedom that I will forever be so grateful for. Having a husband home, having 2 parents home, being able to be with our children, to go on vacation, to go do things. We homeschooled together the first 2 years. We are so thankful that we said yes to this opportunity. Next is Kelly, which I loved. I guess I get to introduce her. She is actually a friend of mine from college. And so, Kelly, tell your story. I love this.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much for having me, Brooke, first of all. It's an honor to be with you guys. And, yeah, my story is one, obviously, probably like everyone on here can say, it was not something I ever predicted. I was a sex crimes prosecutor for almost 10 years. And I always tell this story. You know, I need to go back even before talking about my career. I was not that little girl that dreamed about getting married and dreamed about her wedding. I dreamed about being a mom from the time I was a little girl. That's all I dreamed about the kind of kids I would have, how I would parent. I married a guy who is a professional baseball player. If anybody knows anything about that, that means that he leaves in February and comes home in October of every year. So we had this really complicated kind of lifestyle. I worked 60 to 80-hour weeks, more if I was in trial. And we were just kind of rocking and rolling along with the schedule that we have. It took us, we soon found out it was going to take us years to get pregnant. I was told I had a less than 5% chance of getting pregnant, and we miraculously did get pregnant. So you can imagine that I was even more excited to have this baby. We had a very complicated pregnancy, one where we were told that she wouldn't live when she was born, and then she was born perfectly healthy by the grace of God. But the joy did not come to me like I thought it automatically would the minute that I had this child. I was sitting there holding this baby in my arms and crying nonstop. I didn't want to face what really was obviously very evident until I went to the doctor one day for my 6-week checkup. And she said, "How are you doing?" And I just started bawling. I said, I don't feel like a mom. I'm not connecting with this baby. I'm sad all of the time. I'm not myself. This is not what I envisioned. And she said, "Sister, you got to get some help. Like, I'm going to give you some prescriptions, and you're going to go home and you're going to take them, and we're going to get control over this." Well, the thing is, I have a history in my family with some pretty bad reactions to the medicines that she gave me. And I want y'all to hear me on this, hear my heart. I am not anti-medicine. I try to choose the holistic route as much as possible, but I was fearful personally of this medicine because of what it's done to some family members. So I sat there with these things in my hand, the prescriptions, and I said, I don't want to do this. I'd seen Julia and a few of my college friends posting about Plexus. I thought they were crazy at the time, but they had my attention. And I remembered them talking about gut health being linked to anxiety and depression. I said, you know what? It's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. I've watched them for almost 2 years. We're going to order this. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Well, almost instantaneously when I started the triplex combo, my joy started to come back. The brain fog started to lift. I started to become that mom that I'd always dreamed of being. So here I was, my husband was gone. I had a newborn baby, working full time. I went back to work after only 6 weeks of maternity leave. was back in the courtroom, and I was dying. I was suffocating. You know, I was over the postpartum, getting over that slowly but surely. But I was working my life away. I was dropping my baby off at 7 a.m., sometimes picking her up at 7 p.m. My mom had to pick her up because my husband was gone. And it just was not the life that I had envisioned at this point. I loved my job. I was not looking for another job, but God knew that I needed something else. And so I had these products in my hand. I had no intention of working the business, but I had something that could help people. And I am a sharer by nature. I'm very social. I love to share things that I find that work and that I love. And I just started telling people. And in 7.5 months, I was able to quit my job as a lawyer. Now, what this means is not just me quitting my job to be home with my baby. It means for the first time in our marriage, we were able to be together for more than 3.5 to 4 months a year. It meant that we were able, my little girl and I were able to go be with my husband during baseball season, and we were able to be a normal family. So freedom for us was not just financial freedom. It was time freedom, which has been totally and completely priceless because it's literally changed my family for the better. And I have Plexus to thank for that. It was something I never saw myself doing. In fact, I told my upline when I signed up, I said, I'm giving you 1 year. I will do what you say, but I'm going to quit after a year because I'm going to be terrible at this. This is not my personality. I'm going to be awful. So just know that you've got 1 year and that's it. And then within 7 months, I was able to quit my job. And we are completely different for it. There's a quote that says that the secret to happiness is freedom. And the secret to freedom is courage. And it took a little bit of courage for me to step out of my comfort zone and do something I had never envisioned myself doing, to take a path that was less taken, but it's proven to change everything for my family. And we will never be the same because of this opportunity. Brooke, I'm not sure who's up next.
Brienne's next.
Okay.
Hey everyone, my name is Brienne Coolidge and I am a mama to 3 kids. They are 5, 6, and 8, and I live in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania on a dairy farm with my husband. I was a former 6th grade math teacher, and the way that I came to Plexus is much like Julia and Kelly. I was the girl that saw it on Facebook and was rolling my eyes into my head further than they could go. I did not want anything to do with it, but in a 3-year time span, I had had all 3 of my babies and my body was a wreck. My hormones were out of control. I had joint issues, was going to different doctors to have fluid drained from my joints every other week. My muscle fatigue was extreme. At 27, I was already sleeping in a posturepedic bed. My hormones were crazy. My thyroid was not working right. And so I had all these things that were going on. I couldn't eat gluten. And when my oldest daughter was 14 months old, she had a life-threatening intolerance to a tree nut. And that kind of set us over the edge with everything that we were going through with our health. And so we became the crunchy parents that we never thought we would be, checking every single food label. And so I was kind of propelled into that life. We resigned from teaching. We made that really hard choice. Dairy farming in our country is not lucrative. And so we were really struggling with a lot of things going on. And so when somebody told me about Plexus, same thing. I thought I would try it. I was going to prove the products wrong. I was going to take advantage of that 60-day back money guarantee. I tried it for 2 weeks and I thought that it didn't work. I wasn't consistent. I thought that I had proven that these products weren't going to do it for us. 6 months later, what we were doing was not working. And I decided that I was really going to give this an honest shot. I was going to jump in. I was going to be consistent with the products. And guys, that's all that it took. If you're here watching this, it's because somebody believes in you. If you're here watching this, it's because you have something, even if you're skeptical, that you want changed for you. And I really want you to examine that, to look at those things that you're really hoping for out of this and give it a try and be consistent with it and let yourself dream of a time that you don't have to have those aches and pains, that you don't have to go to bed worrying about your health or your finances. Because that extreme skeptic, actually told people never to message me, even after I loved the products, because I was never going to work this business. But when people tell you that this is just sharing, we absolutely mean that this is just sharing. I I reached the first rank in the company without even knowing that I had reached the first rank in the company, because all I did was tell my mom and a couple of friends. And from there, in 18 months, I had tripled my teaching income. I wasn't going to bed worrying about our health anymore. I wasn't going to bed worrying about our finances anymore. And my husband can dream too. He can do the things that he loves to do on the farm and not have all of that financial stress of having 5 people to take care of every single day. And I've met some of the most amazing people on this journey. When you start this, it's not just products. You gain an entire family filled with people that will support you and love on you every single step of the way. So examine why you're here. Examine why you're watching this and the things that you really want to happen, and dream about your freedom and what that means for you, because it absolutely can happen. Next up is the amazing Rob Heffley.
When I can't imagine trying to follow these ladies here. I know all of them very well because we go on vacation together in Hawaii and these crazy places like the Bahamas now, which I never thought would be a part of my life, because I'm just a redneck from Russellville, Arkansas, that has a little boy that's 6, a little girl that's 3. That my life has completely changed because of Plexus, physically and financially, and just time freedom. The big thing I can say is my 4 years ago, I had like the worst IBS, or whatever you want to call it, like horrible, like the kind that you don't want to talk about, that you go to the doctor and say, hey, I'll pay whatever if you can fix me. And nothing worked. And my wife brought me Plexus, and I was like, heck no. You know, I just had this, any kind of MLM thing, I was just, no way. And, but what happened was I took the triplex for about 3 weeks, and no more issues. Huge deal for me. I would have paid $1,000 a month just to not have to worry about carry clothes with me, not have to worry about what to eat when I travel. And at the time I was flying to Houston almost every week, where I'd fly. I did gas and oil stuff. I'd fly around the country. I worked in several different states. But I remember kind of thinking back 4 years ago, my wife was doing Plexus, and it's kind of the very beginning of it. I was in 12 states in 24 days working across the country, which absolutely hated. But at the time I was trying to make money to pay. We had business debt from a business that kind of went down. And it was just one of those things as part of me is like, hey, man, I got to take care of this. But Plexus, my wife started making money at Plexus. And I remember, got a little bit twinkle in my eye in October. We went to this retreat thing. I was like, hey, this might be possible. And, but what happened was my wife, she replaced my income in 8 months. And that forever changed my life, because it got me out of the gas and oil, and I didn't have to travel anymore. And just gave us freedom. And, fast forward, 4 years ago, just where we're at now is a completely different place. Today, me and my wife went and talked to my son's kindergarten teacher during the middle of the day. At 1:15, went and hung out with him. She went and seen my little girl for her birthday. Or she actually yesterday, but she went for her little Mother's Day out thing, hung out with her. But the time freedom it's brought us is let us be parents and be present in their lives. And it's something I didn't have in my life, my dad. And just to be able to do that and not be wore out, all those things, and to be healthy and to financially and to live. I was like, Plexus is a vehicle. It lets us live where we want to live at, live life on the terms we want to live life, drive where we want to drive, and just kind of have a different way of life. And it's one of those things, like you said, anybody can do this. I really do believe that, because the buy-in is so cheap, $34.95. It doesn't matter what color you are, or where you're from, your education level, anybody can do this. And that's one of the huge things about that. And, every day I look in the mirror, it's like, look at this guy here's doing this. And don't, sit there and don't talk yourself out of it. It's a big deal. There's a huge fear about what people are going to think about you. But the one thing I can say is people's opinions do not pay your bills. And even, the people that might have made fun of me before, none of them do now. I mean, it's just kind of, we get to live life on our own terms way differently. And those things too, it's just so many great things that come out of it. These friendships, all these people you've seen tonight, it's just, the friendship is a huge deal for me. I'm very social. And like I was on a cruise last week in the Bahamas with Plexus people, and got to hang out with them every morning. One of my best friends, because of Plexus, we had rooms next to each other, would hang out off the balcony in our cruise ship and drink coffee. And, I said, where do I get to do that at? The things I get to live life differently with friends and people that really believe us and believe in us, sit there and pour into us and add value to us. And there's just a ton of great things we can't tell you all about on this call, but whoever's invited you, talk to them and ask them questions, and I'd say no matter what, give us a try. There's a money back guarantee. I mean, it's worked out for us, as you can tell. And thank you, Brooke, for asking. I feel very honored to be asked on the call tonight.
Those were some incredible stories of freedom. So 5 people, 5 different walks of life, 5 different backgrounds, but 5 people whose lives were completely transformed because of something that maybe they weren't even looking for, but they took the opportunity to say yes to. Before I finish, I want to give you a code word so that you can message the person that invited you tonight. And our code word is pink hope. Pink hope. Pink named after our token pink drink, and hope because truly you have hope to have the same kind of freedoms that you've heard about tonight. They are not unique to us. The stories of freedoms from people that are giving these products and this opportunity a try are coming in by the thousands. So I want you to ask yourself, could this be the very thing that I didn't know that I wanted and I didn't know that I needed, but the answer to my prayers? And I loved that quote that Kelly shared earlier tonight, that success is freedom and freedom is on the other side of courage, or something like that. So be courageous tonight and take the step, because what if this could change everything? It did for all of us. Time freedom, health freedom, financial freedom, and we want you to have that same freedom too. So thank you guys for watching tonight.